Discover solutions to issues that affect your family and professional life with practical information to help you get past life's adversities. Take a proactive approach to power up your life with Rosalie's expert resources.
It's hard to imagine a battle 50 years ago, unless, of course, you lived through the personal experience. This year marks the 50th anniversary of the 1967 six-day Arab-Israeli War. The paratroopers, whose hard-won victory at Ammunition Hill reclaimed Jerusalem's Old City and the Western Wall. For centuries, their nation was in exile through a generation who lived without access to their ancestral city. The brave soldiers who fought for 6 days were surrounded by enemies to have Israel stand alone and change history. Joining us this morning to highlight the docudrama that commemorates this historical battle with a new movie named In Our Hands, The Battle for Jerusalem, is Gordon Robertson, executive producer of this docudrama and CEO of the Christian Broadcasting Network. Good morning, Gordon.
Good morning, Rose. It's great to be with you.
So, Gordon, what inspired you to research this battle and produce this docudrama to tell the story of Israel's 55th Paratroopers Brigade and how Israel's defense forces risked everything for the sake of their homeland?
Well, my inspiration for it was actually the war itself. In 1967, I was just 9 years old, and my father, who had studied the Bible for decades, brought us all together and said, here are the prophecies that just were fulfilled. You're living in times of biblical importance, where Jerusalem is no longer trodden under the foot of the Gentiles. And here are the specific prophecies of Jesus. First, his prophecy of the destruction of the temple, which was fulfilled in AD 70 by Titus, where literally not one stone was left on top of another. The temple was completely destroyed. And then his other prophecy, that Jerusalem would be trodden under the foot of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. And he wanted us to know this just happened. Bible prophecy was just fulfilled. And then 2 years later, in 1969, was my first trip to Israel. I was just 11 years old, and it just made a profound impression upon me. I was at the Western Wall. I went there to pray, and I saw people dancing with Torah scrolls, and there was a spiritual connection that was made in that moment that I still go back to in memory, and I still it just overwhelming me at age 11 to have that. I really don't have words for it. So that's the origin of it. It's been 2 years in the making, and we went back to the primary sources. We went to the diaries, the actual recollections of the soldiers who fought the battle, and we've put it all on the big screen. So if you know nothing about the war, none of the history, you can spend an hour and 41 minutes in a theater and get the accurate history. Everything is shot on the actual location in Jerusalem where the battles were fought. We went to Ammunition Hill, we went to the Lion's Gate, we went to the Temple Mount. Everything is accurate and exactly where it happened, and we had the soldiers who fought the battle direct us as to what happened and where and how it looked and how the action was, so you'll get the accurate history of what happened.
You have biblical and historical backgrounds. So what did you learn during your interviews with the 55th Paratroopers Brigade and the Israeli Defense Forces that was so surprising to you?
One of the most surprising things for me was these were part-time soldiers. They weren't professionals. The men that fought in the 55th, some of them were full-time soldiers, but most of them were reservists. Some of them were studying for their economics exams just weeks before this war. And so you're not dealing here with SEAL Team 6, you're dealing with reservists, part-timers. And they were outnumbered, they were outgunned, and Israel was expecting to be annihilated. They were anticipating a second Holocaust. They were dedicating the public parks in Tel Aviv to be cemeteries. They were stockpiling body bags. And instead of a second Holocaust, they win a war of biblical proportions, and in just 6 days have a lightning victory against overwhelming forces, and it's truly a miracle.
So Gordon, give us some background. What was happening historically in 1967 to spark the reaction of Israel's defense forces that mobilized the Arab military?
The history is clear. In 1948, when Israel declared independence, the Arab nations declared war. And so there was a continual state of war, of border incursions, of provocations, all happening over that 19-year period from 1948 to 1967. The singular thing that happened in 67 is Nasser, the president of Egypt, wanted to create a pan-Arab union. He wanted to unify all of the Arab nations into one confederacy, and he gained control of the Jordanian army. The king of Jordan signed a treaty and literally gave operational control of his army to Egypt. And so Egypt was moving tank divisions into the Sinai Desert. Syria was mobilizing its forces on the northern border of Israel. Jordan was mobilized and had handed control of its army to Egypt. And then Iraq came in and said, we want to wipe Israel off the map. And so all of that is going on. And the Israelis call it the waiting period. It's just 2 weeks in May leading up to the war where they literally thought that they were going to be wiped out. The joke in Israel, well, there was supposedly a sign at the airport in Tel Aviv, the last one to leave, please turn off the lights. They were expecting annihilation. Those who had the financial ability to leave the country left, but at the same time, an incredible victory.
And the truth is, 50 years later, tensions run high in Israel and the Middle East. So what's changed since the depiction of the events noted in this movie?
The Palestinian Authority, they still hold to wiping Israel off the map. Things haven't changed since 1948. And so all the talk of peace, how is it possible to have peace with a group of people that literally want to destroy you, that consider the state of Israel to be somehow an anathema? And they're literally teaching their children to kill Jews, and they're paying the terrorists who do that, they're paying their families a monthly stipend. It's called the Pay for Slay program. You don't understand that motivation, that culture of terrorism, that culture of continuous war.
All right, Gordon, tell us where we can learn more about the accurate historical events of the Six-Day War.
All you have to do is go to our website, inourhands1967.com, and just type in your zip code. We have over 740 theaters across the nation. For Florida specifically, just go there. There are lots of theaters from Miami all the way to Pensacola, and you can see this wonderful movie.
Thank you, Gordon, for joining us this morning to share the historical docudrama events about the stunning victory of the Six-Day War and its reenactment in the movie called In Our Hands. It seems to be a miracle.
Thank you.
Our personal and family history has a lot to do with how we work hard, save, and invest. According to data gathered by Pew Research Center and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, 69 million Americans do their banking online. The FDIC states whether you select a traditional bank or an online bank with no physical offices, it's wise to make sure it's legitimate and your deposits are federally insured. The key to a bank's success is its innovative approach to help consumers easily manage banking and investing all in one place. Joining us this morning is Diane Moret, Ally Bank President of Consumer and Commercial Banking, to discuss digital banking services. Good morning, Diane.
Good morning. Thanks for having us today.
You know, Diane, we are all so busy working and family and sometimes even recreation. With everyone on the move, share with us how online banking research has led to new financial trends that brings banking and investing together for today's busy consumers.
Right. We all feel that busyness, and banking and financial services really is at the forefront, where consumers are demanding simplicity and value in how they conduct their financial affairs. And so at Ally, we're very excited to bring our award-winning online banking products really side by side with our investment services, and providing that one convenient experience where customers can see all their money in one place. It saves them time, and it certainly helps their money work harder for them because they are in control. And that's what consumers are demanding today.
So for some of us, we have multiple accounts, so we need to create different passwords for all of our different accounts. So how can consumers streamline this process and make it a one-stop process?
Right. So we have spent a lot of time. We purchased this company, the investment company Trade King, a year ago, and we now have rebranded it and launched it under the brand name of Ally Invest, and spent a lot of time to create that really seamless, easy to navigate experience. One sign-on, one set of credentials, and when customers log in, they see all the accounts they have at Ally in one convenient dashboard. They can go invest, they can go check on their bill payments from their checking account, pay their credit card, all in one seamless place. And again, what we hear from our customers and customers at large is that's what they're looking for. They don't have time to go drive around town and stand in line at a bank. They don't want to check 10 different websites to see how their money's performing. Having that all in one simple place really is a great step forward for consumers who don't have time to do it the other way, the traditional way.
As consumers, we are all cognizant of the fact that criminals could hack into our accounts and steal our personal information through identity fraud. So what safeguards are in place to give consumers the peace of mind they need when taking care of their financial needs online?
It's a great question, and I'd say at Ally, we put the protection of our customers' information really as our highest priority. We invest heavily in state-of-the-art protection, multi-layers of protection, and so that's certainly a very important angle that we spend a lot of time thinking about and investing in. But we also think it's really important to continue to educate consumers how to keep themselves safe online. And things like your username, your password, make those information that you wouldn't be able to find on social media, that type of thing, change them frequently enough. And so it's really a multi-pronged approach. We believe that security is utmost important for the entire financial services industry. But again, the consumers, really there's a big role they can play to continue to protect themselves and be smart about how they interact online.
Absolutely. Diane, the banking business has come a long way since ATMs were introduced. So what can consumers expect next in the retail banking sector to make their lives simpler, safer, and easier?
Right. There's a great influx, if you will, of new technologies, and we really see that the customer is going to continue to demand a highly personalized, convenient experience. So for example, using some artificial intelligence, instead of making the customer do research and navigate five pages on a website to get the information they need, we know enough about you to serve up the information in a way that is relevant to you, personalized to your situation. I think we're going to see a lot more of that kind of innovation in banking. And clearly, again, back to that point about banking in general and financial trends, there's going to be a continued movement of investment in digital and mobile technologies, really just continuing to provide simplicity and ease and really making customers' lives much simpler and safer.
All right, Diane, so where can our viewers find more information to help them bank and invest online?
Ally.com. We have a great amount of information and encourage people to go check it out.
Thank you, Diane, for joining us this morning to share new trends in financial services that offer consumers the best of both worlds in digital banking and investment financial services.
Thank you so much for having us.
According to the National Institute on Mental Health, postpartum depression is a mood disorder that can affect women after childbirth. The first few months of a mom should be happy times with her newborn baby. Though annually it's estimated postpartum depression affects over 500,000 mothers in the U.S. Dr. Samantha Meltzer-Brody is an associate professor and director at the University of North Carolina's Perinatal Psychiatry Program Center for Women's Mood Disorders, and she's the principal investigator for the Hummingbird Study. She's here to discuss the symptoms of postpartum depression and who may qualify for this study. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Doctor, explain how postpartum depression starts and what a woman begins to experience after childbirth.
So postpartum depression is one of the most common and often unrecognized complications of childbirth. It's felt to be a biological complication due to changing levels of hormones from pregnancy to postpartum. It causes enormous suffering for women and their families. This is not the baby blues. This is a serious mood disorder, as you say, and the symptoms can be quite difficult and, as I said, cause enormous suffering, low mood, anxiety, crying spells, and at the worst, thoughts of suicide.
All right, so what's the distinction between postpartum depression and what is referred to as the baby blues?
So the baby blues are more mild symptoms. It's the usual emotional symptoms that can occur after childbirth, which is very complicated and difficult for most women. The hormonal changes can cause some low-grade mood symptoms, but do not interfere with the mother's ability to function. In contrast, postpartum depression does cause significant difficulty functioning. Moms are not able to take care of the babies how they want, interact with the baby, and importantly, they're not enjoying the experience of being a mother.
So is it a biological complication caused by the pregnancy?
Well, that's one of the things we're investigating in the Hummingbird Study. We're investigating what we think is one of the biological causes, the changing levels of hormones that occur from pregnancy to postpartum, and that's why we're studying an investigational medication called brexanolone that may be very helpful in treating the symptoms of postpartum depression.
All right, tell us more about the Hummingbird Study and the research underway for women experiencing postpartum depression.
Absolutely. So the Hummingbird Study is taking place across the United States. I have the advantage of working at the University of North Carolina, where I'm the lead investigator, and we've been studying this from the beginning. It is an inpatient 3-day stay for the treatment with the investigational medication brexanolone. And then after that, women are followed a little over a month and carefully monitored after the inpatient stay. It has been very well tolerated so far with very few side effects, and it is something that we are very interested in studying, very interested in understanding how this medication works, and looking at new treatments for mothers that suffer with postpartum depression.
So give us some of the signs and symptoms of postpartum depression that are different than the baby blues.
So postpartum depression, as I mentioned, it really is incredibly common. For mothers watching this in Florida or southern Georgia, no one should have to suffer with symptoms of feeling profoundly sad, often not enjoying the baby, having horrible anxiety, having ruminating thoughts, not being able to function like your usual self, or having any thoughts that life is not worth living. Those are not normal experiences of the postpartum period. So the baby blues, women may feel more emotional, but with postpartum depression, this is real suffering. And oftentimes family members notice that the mother is not acting like herself. And so any woman watching this who feels that she's really suffering, that this is not a happy time, that in fact she's feeling scared, anxious, that it's interfering with her ability to enjoy the new baby. These are all things that should make a woman reach out. We encourage people to go to the website, thehummingbird.study.com, to get more information.
So, doctor, are there any therapies or treatments presently to treat postpartum depression?
Yes, currently there are a variety of different medications as well as psychotherapy that are available. However, there remains a great unmet need for new treatments since women may not respond to currently available treatments, and new treatments that may treat the disease better than are currently available is necessary.
Thank you, doctor, for joining us this morning to discuss the symptoms of postpartum depression and the importance of a new mother's mental health condition, so that she can ensure she can take care of herself and others that she cares for. Medical technology continues to advance genetic testing. Do you want to know more about who you are and use those benefits of invaluable health information? Then consider using this insight into your health to address inherited risks, to manage and prevent developing certain diseases. Genetic testing is growing in popularity because it allows us to find information that links genetic biomarkers to food, fitness, and lifestyle to help us make informed choices that can impact our future and rising healthcare costs. Joining us to discuss genetic testing is Dr. Erica Gray, co-founder and chief medical officer of Toolbox Genomics. Good morning, Dr. Gray.
Good morning, Rosalie.
I find these genetic advancements fascinating, doctor. After years of you working in an emergency room, you identified the genetic link between a patient's health and chronic disease. Why is it so important to better understand our genetics to stay healthy?
It is all based about preventative care, and I think understanding your genetics is really taking you to the forefront of a healthier lifestyle. Once you have this information about a healthier lifestyle, then you can get information about how to live a lifestyle that's based on your gene style. And gene style is something where you live a lifestyle that is all about your DNA. You know, 100 years ago, we didn't know that much about DNA. 20 years ago, we used it for crime scene investigations, and now we can use it to create a personalized plan for you that's about diet, exercise, and even supplements.
All right, share some statistics into the growing popularity of Americans who desire to learn more about their health through genetic testing.
Absolutely. So we find that most people who are very interested in genetic testing are the baby boomers as well as the millennials. The millennials are really interested in data and human performance, and then they have baby boomer parents who are interested in either certain conditions that they may personally have or avoiding the suffering that they've seen with their own parents.
And mostly, doctor, if you have a parent who was adopted, like my father, and we have no medical history on his family, how is one's genotype data used to develop the recommendations for a customized diet and lifestyle?
So first thing you have to do is get your genetic information, and you can get that through companies such as 23andMe and Ancestry.com. Once you've received your information, you go to toolboxgenomics.com, upload your information, and within minutes, you will receive a personalized plan that will feature suggestions about diet, exercise suggestions, and even some different supplements that you could be taking.
All right, so what do you find out through genetic testing?
So you will find out, are you predisposed to certain conditions, like perhaps high cholesterol? Maybe you break down caffeine slower, or maybe you just need a little more B12 in your life.
So once genetic testing is completed, how do you decide on what recommendations to make?
So as I mentioned earlier, you will receive that personalized plan because we have taken the information from the other companies and we have run it against our database of numerous recommendations that we can put together for you. And then we can customize it to you, which is going to be based off of your gender, as well as even your ethnicity is going to play a role in our recommendation.
All right, let's say a patient has diabetes in their family's history. What recommendations would you make?
So we will talk about monitoring your blood sugar. Sweet potatoes are a fabulous food that you could be using. We will talk about hill walking is a great exercise for pre-diabetics to lower your blood sugar. Then we can talk about some other features such as berberine is a great supplement that you could be taking. Using some apple cider vinegar before your meals can also help you lower that blood sugar as well.
So can we take this genetic information and implement it into our lifestyle to help decrease our future healthcare costs?
Absolutely, because we can start so much earlier. And to me, that is what is so exciting about this, because we can start in our 20s and our 30s, and then we can really help delay this onset of some of these chronic diseases that I've seen so many people suffer with.
And how about those older than 20s and 30s? As you go up in age, will it still benefit you?
There is a perfect time to start, which is any time. And so people who are older are still going to get benefits because you can either halt the progression or you can support your current disease that you might have and perhaps even lower your current risk of other conditions that you might develop.
Doctor, in your research, you refer to a patient's biomarkers and paving the relationship to a healthy lifestyle. What exactly are biomarkers?
So biomarkers in this sense is something that is unique to you. So these may be certain blood tests that you could do or your actual genetic data. But what's wonderful is that we now have the tools to measure so many different aspects of our life to really check in on what type of life we are leading and how healthy of a life we have.
And biomarkers are used in new cancer research to develop therapies as well.
They are, absolutely. And you use it when you go and see your doctor and you get your cholesterol checked. That's an example of a biomarker.
That's amazing. Great work, Dr. Gray. Thank you for joining us this morning and sharing the health benefits of genetic testing.
Thank you so much, Rosalie, and kudos to you for bringing this cutting-edge information to your viewers.
History always offers insight into the future. Utilizing medical advancements to have a greater understanding of who we are and our family background will take us through our medical history and allow us to manage our health risks and create a healthier lifestyle. Share with us how you manage risks in life to benefit your family history at facebook.com/Rose Lee Show and follow us on Instagram @The Rose Lee Show. And watch this episode and many others here at ION Television or 24/7 at RoseleeArcherShow.com. Thank you for joining us this morning, and we do look forward to seeing you soon.